This video will be about parallel and perpendicular lines. My name is Lisa. We're going to start with two definitions. Two lines are parallel if their slopes are equal. So examples would be if the slope of line 1 is 4, then the slope of a second line would also have to be 4. Those lines would be parallel. Slope of one line is -3, and the slope of the second line is -3. Those pairs of lines would be parallel. Two lines are perpendicular if their slopes are negative reciprocals. Now, a lot of people know parallel means they go in the same direction, they run side by side and never cross. Perpendicular, they cross, but they cross in a very specific way. Perpendicular means that the lines cross at right angles. So they could be an example like this. Maybe the slope of line 1 would be 3/4, and this one is the positive one. And the slope of line 2 then would be its negative reciprocal. A negative reciprocal means we're going to change the sign, so this one's going to have to be negative. And the reciprocal means we turn the fraction upside down, so -4/3. Those two lines are perpendicular. There's one other example of perpendicular lines, and that is a vertical line and a horizontal line will always be perpendicular. We can't really tell it with the slopes because we say one is undefined and one is 0, but vertical and horizontal lines are always perpendicular. So those are the relationships that you're looking for when we talk about parallel and perpendicular lines. In order to determine if lines are parallel or perpendicular, we need to find the slope of the line. So the method for finding the slope of the line is to write the equation in slope-intercept form, or in other words, to get the y by itself. Remember, slope-intercept form, y equal mx plus b, the slope is the coefficient of x and b is the intercept. So what we're really looking for is that coefficient of x. If there's only one variable, determine whether the line is horizontal or vertical. Equations of horizontal lines only contain y, and they have a slope of 0. Remember, z for 0, horizontal. And equations of vertical lines contain only x and have an undefined slope. So let's look at some examples. Example 1, if we want to determine the slope of this line, we look for the coefficient of x. The coefficient of x in this equation is -3. Our slope is -3. Example 2 only has an x in it. Lines that only have x, this means our equation is the equation of a vertical line. And so the equation of a vertical line, the slope is undefined. So the vertical line has an undefined slope. Couple more examples. Y plus 6 equals 0. Now, it only has y in it, so we know that this is a horizontal line. Horizontal, it's going to have a slope of 0. Example 4. Remember I said that if they have both x and y, you've got to write it in y equal mx plus b form. If I add 7 to both sides, I get y equals 2x plus 5, and my slope is the coefficient of x, or 2 in this example. Determine whether the pair of lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So remember, in order to do this, we need to know if the lines have the same slope, have negative reciprocal slopes, or neither of those cases. So let's start with the first equation. We need to get the y by itself. Doesn't matter which side of the equation it's on, but we need to get it by itself. Here it's easiest if I add 3 to both sides first, giving me 2x plus 3 equals 5y, and then to get y by itself, we need to divide by 5. Dividing the side by 5 is the same as dividing every term by 5. This gives me 2/5 x plus 3/5 equals y. And I can identify the slope. The slope of this line, the coefficient of x, m, is 2/5. We're going to do the same thing with the other line. This time I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides, which gives me 2y equals 8 minus 5x. And dividing every term by 2 to get the y by itself, we get y equals 4 minus 5/2 x. Now, again, it doesn't matter what order the terms are in. Here's my coefficient of x, so I know that for this line, the slope is negative 5/2. So look at the two slopes, 2/5 and negative 5/2. These two lines are perpendicular because the slopes are negative reciprocal. One is positive, the other is negative. One is 2/5, the other is 5/2. Here's another example. Again, we have to start by solving each equation for y. First equation, subtract 2x from both sides. Negative 2y equals 3 minus 2x, or minus 2x plus 3. Doesn't matter what order you write them in. Divide every term by negative 2. And that gives us y equals negative 3/2. This is going to become a plus. We've got negative over negative makes it plus, and we're just going to have 1x. So the slope of this line is 1. It's the coefficient of x. For the second line, start off by subtracting 2x from both sides, and I get y minus 2 equals negative 2x. I need to add 2 to both sides, and I get y equals negative 2x plus 2. The slope, the coefficient of x, is negative 2. Now these two slopes are not the same, and they're not negative reciprocals, so these lines are neither parallel nor perpendicular. Let's look at another example. Example number 4 says we have x equals 3 and y equal negative 2. X equal 3, this is a vertical line. Y equal 3 is a horizontal line. Sorry, y minus 2 equals 0 is a horizontal line. Vertical and horizontal lines are always perpendicular. These two lines are perpendicular. Now, I'm going to have you write the equation of the lines with the following characteristics. Example 1 says write the equation of the line through the point that is parallel to the given line. So a point, this is not a y-intercept, so we can label it as x1, y1, and then parallel to this line. Parallel refers to the slope. If we want it to be parallel, we want the same slope. So again, I have to start by finding the slope of this line. Get y by itself, subtract 3x from both sides. That gives us negative 2y equals 6 minus 3x. To get the y by itself, divide every term by negative 2. And we get y equals negative 3 plus 3/2 x. So it tells us we want our slope to be positive 3/2. So m equals 3/2. We need it to be the same. We have a point and we have a slope. So point slope equation y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Plug your values in. Y minus 1 equals our slope 3/2 times x minus 3. Distribute to get rid of the parentheses. and we get y minus 1 equals 3/2 x minus, remember you can think of this as 3 over 1. 3 times 3 is 9, 2 times 1 is 2. To solve for y, we need to add 1 to both sides of the equation. You can do that on the calculator if necessary. On the calculator, you can type in -9 divided by 2 plus 1, and it will give you a decimal answer. To write it as a fraction, do math, enter, enter, and it will give you the fractional value. I'm going to do it by hand though. Y equals 3/2 x. -9/2, 1 is 2 over 2, so that gives me -7 over 2. And there's my final answer. Let's do another example. Example 2 says write the equation of the line through the point 3, 1 perpendicular to this line. If you notice, this example is very similar to the first example. The only difference here is here we're asking for perpendicular to. Oops, got carried away with that. We want to do perpendicular instead of parallel. So if I use some of the work that I did in the example above, this line had a slope of 3/2. So if we want perpendicular to that, perpendicular means we want what slope? We want to change the sign, make it negative, and flip the numbers 2/3. We still have x1, y1. So our formula becomes y minus, y1 is 1, equals -2/3 times x minus, our x1 value is 3. Again, we're going to distribute to get rid of our parentheses. Think of that as 3 over 1. And we get y minus 1 equals -2/3 x. -2/3 times -3. Negative times negative is positive. The 3's will cancel, so we get a +2. Again, you can do it out to the side. And you'll see you get negative times negative is +6 over 3, or 2 if you multiply straight across. To get the y by itself now, add 1 to both sides, and we get y equals -2/3 x plus 3. And there's our answer. We've got one last example for you. Example number 3, and clearly I need more space here. Come on. It's not wanting to go. All right, I got it to come up. Example number 3 says write the equation of the line through the point 2, 0 that is parallel to the line x equals 7. Parallel means we want it to have the same slope, or we want it to go in the same direction. So the same as x equals 7, this is a vertical line. So if we want a vertical line, again, we want to have it be x equals some number. The number that's in our point here is 2. X equal 2 and x equals 7 are parallel to each other. And that concludes this video. This is Lisa. You should be working on your homework for section 5.5, followed by the quiz.